This is Sports 225 with Lee Feinswag. Sports 225 with Lee Feinswag is Baton Rouge's longest running and best television show. Who would have believed that?
My best friend, Lee Feinswag, look at the Christmas.
Sports 225 is brought to you by Breck. Remember, it all starts at Breck. Now, your host, Lee Feinswag.
I'm in luck. Will Wade, the LSU basketball coach, is here with me, and I got to imagine that since you took the LSU job, which was about a week or so before you had your first baby, and it was in the middle of recruiting season, and you had a program to, resurrect, if you will, your life probably has been a blur.
It's been very hectic, been a little bit crazy, but we're excited to add some normalcy to it as we start games tomorrow night, and really looking forward to getting going and starting the normal process of a season. But it's been a good sort of crazy, getting to meet a lot of people, getting to go around the state of Louisiana and see folks. So it's been fun, but ready to jump into it with the games and get going for what we all came here for, which is to win.
Yeah, well, take me back though, because it must have been crazy when you got here, because your wife was near full term, so she wanted to stay back in Richmond. He came here from Virginia Commonwealth and be with her doctor. So you're kind of back and forth, and then fatherhood's somewhat disrupting to life in a positive way.
Yeah, it's a little wild. I'm not going to win Husband of the Year this year. I missed the birth of our daughter because I was actually recruiting in Indiana, and I was in a cornfield in Indiana.
Oh, this sounds like so Hoosiers-like.
Recruiting, and so I couldn't get back to Richmond when her water broke. So I made it the next morning to see her and see our daughter. So that's certainly. I guess that's good for recruiting, but not good for being a great parent. But it worked out. Our daughter's doing great, and it was a hectic time, but you just got to compartmentalize and focus on what you can focus on. I went back to Richmond and focused on my family, and then when we got back to Baton Rouge, it was time to focus on our team, our players, building a roster, finding new players, and so. It's just you got to compartmentalize and focus on what the most important thing is at that moment, and lock into that and do the best you can with that task.
Well, the cool thing about having a kid so young is how often they change, and especially like if you do go on a recruiting trip for a few days and you come back and it feels like the baby's grown, or the baby's doing this, or the baby's doing that. So that's exciting for you.
Oh yeah, my little daughter Caroline, she's different every day.
Yeah,
she's bigger and. She learns something new just about every day when I get home, so it's pretty cool to see her grow and see her mature.
Well, and I'll tell you too, from experience and from knowing so many other coaches too, when she does get old enough to come to the gym and hang around and be in that noisy, crazy environment, it makes for much better adjusted kids. Coaches' kids, they're just great in all circumstances.
Yeah, they can probably roll with the punches pretty good.
No doubt.
Changes in schedule and changes in how things go, it'll be pretty simple for her to just adjust on the fly.
Plus, she's at least 6 or 7 years away from being sensitive to the criticism you'll get. she don't care, All right, so speaking of pseudo-criticism, you had a scrimmage against Tulane. I know scrimmages mean nothing, but I had some people go, oh, they lost to Tulane. And I go, come on, it's October. It's a scrimmage. Well, what did you gather from that?
Well, you don't want to lose to anybody.
No, but,
I don't. If we're if we're drinking bottles of water, you want to win who drinks a bottle of water quickest. And so you don't ever want to get used to losing. You don't ever want losing to be a part of.
I'm getting a head start.
Yeah, you don't ever want losing. I'm not going to lose to you in that. But you don't ever want losing to be a part of anything that you do. So it was just a disappointing performance. I thought we could have played harder. We could have played smarter. We certainly played hard, but there's, hard and harder.
Yeah.
And so I thought there was a lot of stuff that we could improve on. We did that this weekend. We had another close scrimmage this weekend, and we played much
better. Scrimmage this weekend?
We scrimmaged University of Texas this weekend, and
good.
we played much better.
You know that guy?
In that scrimmage, yeah, we're pretty close. So, but it was that was a plus for us. But still, we've got to get better in 6-minute games. We've got to create winning habits. We've got to knock some of the losing habits out of us, and that's just going to take it's going to take some time. I think we've gotten better as we've progressed through our preseason, better as we've progressed through the scrimmages. But now it's just, we got to win. Now it's I always say win. What's important now? All that matters is winning by whatever means necessary, whoever necessary. Like we got to find ways to win games starting this weekend.
I'm not going to water bottle race you, but I do want to get you to talk before we get out of this segment. So Shaka Smart's the coach at Texas, who had so much success at VCU and really got wined and dined for a couple of years before he finally acquiesced, because there's a lot of money in Texas, plus a potential gold mine. But that must have been fun for you to see your old friend and guy.
It's good to reacquaint, not just with him, but one of our former players is his director of player development, who I'm extremely close with, and their strength and conditioning coach is, my strength and conditioning coach here was his assistant, and so there's just a lot of commonalities between the programs. So it was good to reconnect and see everybody.
Yeah, and just as an aside, Texas is a place where I've never understood. You don't have to get into it. I'm just saying it for me. God, they ought to be just knocking on the door of national championships in every sport with the resources they have. Anyway, hold that thought. When we get back, we'll talk about the LSU basketball roster. He's Will Wade. You can follow him. Wait, I typed it down. I wrote it down somewhere. One of these pieces of papers. W. Wade LSU.
That's it.
On Twitter. Throwing my stuff all over the place. I'm Lee Feinswag at Sports 225.
Hi, I'm Joe Martin, president of ITI Technical College, and we are so excited to have been awarded Forbes magazine's top 30 two-year technical colleges in America. To achieve this award, ITI was recognized for our high scores in 1, earnings of our graduates, 2, quality of education, and 3, affordability. To learn more, we invite you to visit our campus or go online. ITI Technical College. Begin your journey to a better life.
We're back on Sports 225. Will Wade is the first-year LSU basketball coach, and the Tigers already have a couple scrimmages in their back pocket and open up. They opened up. We're taping this earlier in the week, but they open up against Alcorn State. I could tell you a couple stories about going to Alcorn State. Luckily, Alcorn State's coming to LSU. God, I was there once covering a Southern game in the 80s, and a fight broke out among football players from the opposing teams. The Southern football players had gone up to watch the game. They got in a fight. It spilled over onto the court. We were there all night. And to get to Alcorn, it's these 2-lane dark roads, the backwoods of Mississippi. Almost hit 2 deers, a couple of porcupines on the way home. Anyway.
Glad you made it.
Yeah.
Glad you made it.
It was crazy. So the LSU basketball roster is kind of like a little bit of a United Nations thing going on. No, seriously, you got a guy from Australia, you got a guy from England, you got a guy from the South Sudan, someone who played at Texas Tech, which is an outpost as well. I mean, no, seriously, it must be kind of interesting to pull these kind of people together from all different walks of life.
Yeah, you're trying to, that's the fun part as a coach, is getting the team connected, blending the team, blending a bunch of different backgrounds, guys from diverse areas, guys from diverse backgrounds with diverse life experiences. That's the exciting part as a coach, is how do you get all these guys to come together, believe in a commonality, believe in a common theme for what we need to do to be great. And so I think that's really important as a coach. And I feel like our team's getting closer. We went on a retreat a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, I was going to ask you if you've done stuff, and that's good.
We went on a retreat, and it was a remote outpost, as you would say, and nobody's cell phones worked, and
good.
It was good for our guys. We went out there and spent a night, and then we went and practiced at a local high school where we were. So I thought that was good. We came up with what we wanted our team identity to be, how we wanted to be remembered as a team, what we wanted our team to, when people watch us play, what we wanted people to say about our team. When you watch us play for a game, you want to say these 3 or 4 words to describe our team. So we came up with.
Can you share them?
Yeah, we talked about being a family. We want them to see that we're a close-knit, connected, tight group.
Right.
We wanted them to see a team that was smart, a team that made smart plays, a team that made winning plays, and a team that acted the right way on and off the court. We wanted them to see a team that was tough, a team that was blue-collar, represents our state, represents the people of our state, grinds it out, finds a way to get it done. Maybe our backs are against the wall, the odds are down, the chips are down, but that's when we do our best work. That's when we find a way. We're just tough and can grind it out. Then we want to see a team that does all that consistently. So we want to be consistent with being a family and being tight-knit, being tough, playing smart. We got to do that consistently. So I think if you see those are the 4 attributes that our guys came up with, not me, not our coaches, our players came up with that. That's how they wanted to be described. And I think if we are described that way, I think we'll have a pretty good team.
No, and if you play that way, and I think I said this to you, and we met the first time when you came on the show, if those type of things are shown the way you play basketball this year, there'll be a lot of happy fans who will appreciate it. I don't think people are going to gauge you on wins and losses, even though that's important to you. I think as an observer of LSU basketball, I speak for a lot of people saying, put forth those virtues you just talked about, and it'll be good. So, with girls teams, there's a lot of team bonding stuff. There's a lot of exercises. There's a lot of games and stuff. Did you guys do any of that kind of stuff, or was it?
Yeah, we did. We did some different things. We did some interviews. They enjoyed the coaches' roast, so I let them impersonate all of us. They did a pretty good job with that.
Who had the best imitation of you?
Brandon Rochelle, our freshman. He was pretty good. He was spot on.
That's funny.
Good. He had the practice plan and the whole deal. He had obviously planned it out, so he was good. he was real good. But we just did some other. We did some pressure stuff, how you respond under pressure. We just did a lot of different things.
Yeah, you can find out a lot about character, and in your own mind probably form, I can go to this guy, late in the game, and as a coach too, do you do this? Do you find the player or two who you can be really hard on, somebody maybe you can yell at a little bit more than somebody else, where they can say, hey, he can't do that to Billy Bob. We're going to rally behind him.
No, you don't really do that. I think they're all, you got to, hey, if you mess up, you mess up. You're going to hear about it. So,
yeah. But there's a lot of guys who you just can't lay the hammer on because they don't get better as a result of that.
Well, I'm equal opportunity. So everybody understands they need to do what they need to do to help us win. They need to play their role to help us win. They need to do their job to the best of their ability for us to win. And if you don't, we're going to let you know about it. And as a coach, if I don't do my job, I expect them to let me know about it.
When you started practice and you got them all together after you had those 3-on-1s and those little drills, when you actually began the actual practice, and you'd watch the tape, but you got a lot of new players. What was your impression, from the get-go, and maybe like those first couple of staff meetings after practices? Ooh, this is what we expected, or this is not what we expected, or whatever,
I mean, I think we're behind in our knowledge of the game and just making smart basketball plays, being intelligent basketball players, basketball IQ, that sort of thing. I thought we had a lot of work to do in that area, and we still we're a work in progress there. We've got a lot more room for improvement in those areas, but I think we were ahead a little bit maybe with our shooting and our offensive skill work. We'd spent a lot of time working on that. We've got naturally gifted offensive players, but we got to be able to win games on nights when the shots don't go down, or when things don't go perfect, things get a little tough, things get a little hard. That's when we got to go to work and do our best work and do our best job then. So, we've got to develop those traits, and we're still in the forming process of developing those winning traits.
All right, when we get back, let's actually talk about personnel.
There we go.
I'll get you away from all the conceptual stuff. Actually, I do got more, but I'll let him slide. He's Will Wade. He's the LSU basketball coach. I'm Lee Feinswag at Sports 225.
Don't let the bed bugs bite you. We'll put them to sleep.
Bed bugs can be transported from most anywhere. Hotels, department stores, even a friend's house.
We've got the bead on bed bugs. Call the bug man today.
Call 923-BUGS.
All right, we're back on Sports 225. Will Wade, the first-year LSU basketball coach, with me. The Tigers are into their season. He inherits an interesting group of players, brings in an interesting group of players. We talked in the last segment about pulling them all together. Who has impressed you the most through a couple of scrimmages, all these weeks of practice, and as you finally are going to get into things in earnest?
Yeah, a couple of the returners have really been impressive. Skylar Mays, he's by far our most consistent guard. He's shown it every day in practice with the way he works. He's shown it every day with how he prepares.
And one of 8 Louisiana kids on your roster, which I think is really nice that you have that. Whether they all play or not, it's just but it's good because
they don't play. It's not nice because their people are right next to us.
Yeah, but it's a state school, and
no doubt.
No,
we're the flagship school in Louisiana. You want to make sure you take care of home and have the best guys from home. So
but watching him last year, I thought that he has
he's got great potential. He's going to be a really, really good player. He's consistent. Goes about his work every day. Our big kid, Duop Reef, same way. He's our most steady offensive option. He can.
And let me just say, if you had told me that when I first saw him, that he would evolve to that, I'd have said, no, you're crazy. Which just shows how much work he's put in and how much he's improved.
Yeah, he's put in a ton of work. He's got his body up. He played at about 220 last year. He's about 245 right now. So he's got a sturdier body where he can go to work. He's gone against, in some of these scrimmages, he's gone against some really, really good post players, and he's been able to score, which I think is going to give him confidence as we move forward in the season. But Skylar and Wap have worked really hard. Unfortunately, Aaron Epps has been hurt. He'd be in that group as well.
He's got a foot injury, huh?
He's got a little bit of a foot injury. We're hopeful we'll have him back sooner rather than later, and he'd be in that group. In terms of our newcomers, Brandon Rochelle's been very consistent, one of our freshmen. He's a lockdown defender. He brings some toughness to us. He's from Natchitoches, up in the northern central part of the state, and he really is going to help us out this year as a freshman. And our freshman point guard, Tremont Waters from New Haven, Connecticut's really coming on. He's played well as of late. He's been getting better in practice. It's translated in some of the games and the scrimmages. So we're excited about those two freshmen. We think they're going to be able to contribute, and Sky and Wap have certainly been consistent as returners.
Tremont Waters listed at 5'11", 167. That's light.
Yeah, he's electric with the ball. He's really, really good in the open court. When he gets bottled up in the half court, it can get a little tough on him. But he's an electric player.
That's good.
And he's a really, really good point guard.
Now, longtime veteran LSU sports information director for basketball, Kent Lowe, is off on the sidelines, so he can't answer this question. But do you know the last really good player, well, for that matter, the only player that I know of who played at LSU who is from New Haven, Connecticut?
Fire away.
Maurice Williamson, son of Hall of Famer John Williamson.
There we go.
Yeah, Maurice was a guard on the LSU team that had Shaquille O'Neal, among others. He was during that time. One time, Dale suspended Maurice, and there was like a Thursday night game, and Maurice didn't come because he was suspended. He went to see the Saints. Something like that. Like, where's Maurice? Maurice, I don't know, I was suspended. I didn't have to show up. Anyway, he was a character. Who have you not mentioned who, through the course of a season, might turn out to be a really good player and surprise you and me on your team?
I think there's a couple candidates. I think both of our fifth-year players are just learning their way. Jeremy Combs and Randy Answar. I think both those guys.
Yeah, and that, like, Combs played at North Texas, of course, which is interesting, and he's one of those graduate transfers. And Randy's been at Texas Tech, Southern Utah. He's trying to play a little bit everywhere.
He's been a little bit everywhere. Yeah. So I think both of those guys, as they get more comfortable and come on, I think typically those fifth-year guys get better as the season goes on. So I think both of those guys will have an opportunity as we move forward in the season, where they get more comfortable with our team, get more comfortable with the system, get more comfortable with what we're doing. I think they've got a chance to really kind of give us a springboard and improve as our team improves as the year moves on.
Well, even though they're new guys, I mean, hopefully, you've got 4 seniors, those 2 grad students on the roster. So, maybe when push comes to shove in crunch time, the fact that you got older guys, even though you got 4 freshmen and, a couple sophomores are going to play, but having those 6 older guys can't hurt.
Yeah, I think Jeremy really brings a presence to us down in the post. He's calm. He knows how to play. He makes good moves. He doesn't do anything that's outside of his character or outside of his game. So, been very, very impressed with him in the limited time that we've seen him since his injury. But I think he can really, really help us. And we've just got to teach these guys how to win. Even though we do have some older guys, they're freshmen in the sense that they haven't won a whole lot. They don't know how to win. Randy didn't come from necessarily a winning program. Jeremy didn't come from a winning program. Wap and Wap and Epps haven't won a whole lot here. So we got to teach them how to win and what it takes to win and what you have to do to win and the type plays you have to make to win. So that's on us as a coaching staff. That's on me as a head coach to make sure that our guys clearly understand what we need to do to make that happen.
Let's talk about the schedule when we get back. We just got a little bit of time left. He's Will Wade, the LSU basketball coach. I'm Lee Feinswag at Sports 225.
See that dog lover? About to unleash the terror hound on these friendly, unsuspecting canines? Well, I'm the human dislike button, and I see it too. Easy there, Cujo. Taking part in a dog socialization program at a shelter or pet store can help nip this problem in the bud. And no matter how well socialized your pet is, cleaning up the little rays of sunshine they leave in their merry wake is your responsibility. To learn more about me, go to breck.org/HDB.
Coming down the home stretch of another Sports 225. Thanks to John Williams from JCW for directing the show. Remember, you can go to sports225.com to get all the show listings of when we're on Cox 4, when we're on CST, see the archives of all the old shows. I think that pretty much covers it. Will Wade's here. He's the LSU basketball coach. LSU plays Alcorn State Friday, and I'm looking at the schedule: Alcorn State, Samford, and then trip to Maui. Ken, has LSU been to Maui since 1996? Yeah, when we went? I went in 07. My first and only trip to Hawaii was covering LSU.
There we go.
That's another story too, because that was they played Kansas in the first game, and Lester Earl was a freshman. And please don't get me started. But you got to be excited about that.
Yeah, it should be excited. I mean, we got with the way our team is right now. I mean, every game's going to be a close game. So we got to handle, we got to do everything we can to play well against Alcorn State. Samford's going to be one of the better teams in the Southern Conference. We got to do a good job against them. I mean, those games are going to be battles and going to test us. And then obviously we get to Maui and we open up with Michigan, a national brand, national program, played in the national title game, 3 or 4 years ago. They've consistently been to the NCAA tournament every year. So they're a program that we strive to reach where they are, where we're competing for Final Fours, playing for national titles, and consistently in the NCAA tournament. So we've got a couple big tests before we get out there, and then certainly playing Michigan, and then the rest of the field in Maui will be a challenge as well.
Now, I know, while you're there, you're going to be coaching, you're going to be breaking down video and all, but at least get out, walk on the beach a little bit, enjoy it a little bit. It's a
I can't promise
place.
that.
Oh, geez. So your non-conference schedule is very manageable. It's a
nice way to put it.
Yeah, it's good. And you guys can get a lot of traction going. And then,
so.
But you open your SEC schedule against Kentucky. But the thing about your SEC schedule that's interesting is that it's top heavy early. Like the back end, for me looking at it saying, hey, if they can survive the first half of the season, the second half of the season becomes much more manageable. The key is to get through that first half. Is that a fair way to look at it?
Oh, I couldn't even tell you the order of the schedule. I know we open with Kentucky, and I think we got A&M and Arkansas and Alabama there early, but I don't know the ins and outs of it all. I just know we got to get a little bit better every day. So by the time we get to the SEC schedule, we're ready to play those guys. So, conference play in general is just survival of the fittest. Who can sometimes you can be hanging by a fingernail. Can you just hang on, and start climbing back up? And so, we got to develop that identity, develop that mentality throughout our non-conference schedule, and I think that'll help us navigate through the SEC portion of the schedule.
In a perfect world, how many players in your rotation once you get to midseason?
9. We'd have 5 guards, 1 swing player, and 3 bigs.
Okay. Your team got picked to finish last at SEC Media Days. Is it a rallying cry at all? Or
we've talked about it very little.
How to come up at the retreat?
I think that stuff's more for media fodder and that sort of thing. Our team, we just got to get better and go to work every day and be a little bit better than we were yesterday. Change your best every day. What was good enough today is not going to be good enough tomorrow. And if we do that, I don't think we'll come in last.
This guy has got a great attitude. Makes you fired up to see basketball start. Will Wade, follow him at W Wade LSU. Thank you, sir. Really appreciate you coming in.
Thank you for having me on.
Okay. Thanks for watching. I'm Lee Feinswag. This has been Sports 225.
At carnival time by Baton Rouge Bay, that's the site of my story. At Spanish Town Mardi Gras, things can get blurry.